Let's get more on the story now with Clare Rewcastle Brown in Kuala Lumpur. She's an investigative journalist and founder of the Sarawak Report, the news organisation that first uncovered the 1MDB scandal. Welcome back to Money Talks, Clare. Now, among those who've been charged are the CEO of Goldman Sachs International, Richard Nodde, and Michael Evans, a former Goldman partner who's now the boss of the Chinese e-commerce giant Alibaba. So some pretty big names there. What's your reaction to Malaysia's latest move?
Well, I think another very interesting name on that list was Mike Sherwood. I'd been looking at Mike Sherwood since late 2016, actually, when he unexpectedly decided to resign. He had been regarded as being a contender for the top job at that time at Goldman Sachs. The reason why was he'd been bringing in so much money in his emerging markets division based in London, where Goldman Sachs International is headquartered. And that's the section of the bank that these criminal charges have also been laid against, including two sections in Singapore. And it emerged that it was he who signed off on those deals. And the Monetary Authority of Singapore had made it clear that the bank in London had fully underwritten the bond deals that provided $700 million worth of commissions for the bank. I noted at the time that Mike Sherwood had delivered massive and unprecedented bonuses just before that resignation, and the bonuses had come through in 2014, but actually they related to the previous year, 2013, when the deals, the bonds were completed. Mike Sherwood took a reported $13 million for himself in bonuses for that bumper year, a time when banks weren't making money anywhere else, really. Those were lean times, if you will recall. So Tommy Thomas, the Attorney General here in Malaysia, is really going guns blazing at the bank. And I'm sure this is about putting added pressure on Goldman Sachs to pay up on that $7.5 billion.
That's right, and Goldman Sachs in response says it will vigorously defend these latest charges as well as the ones that were levelled against it last December. But how culpable do you think the bank is in all this? Can they chalk it up to some rogue individuals, or do you think the bank itself at the very top is guilty in perpetrating this fraud at 1MDB?
Well, of course, I'm not going to pass ultimate judgment on whether the bank is guilty, but I'm prepared to say I think they're going to have a very, very hard time trying to employ this popular tactic of, blaming a rotten apple and finding a scapegoat in this particular case. I think they're used to, being thought of as masters of the universe, but it's possible that they've overstretched themselves this time, and that the Malaysian Attorney General has got the measure of them. They're in a very difficult situation to try and defend this. Their own Asia boss, who has pleaded guilty, Tim Leissner, and paid $43 million, is singing like a canary over in the United States. And the United States obviously have their own criminal cases going against him, and also a colleague who's now been extradited from Malaysia, one Roger Ng, who was regarded as being extremely instrumental in this. And the charges that have gone in America state very categorically and several times that the American authorities believe that they have sufficient evidence to say that many other people in the bank were involved in this conspiracy, and that it formed part of the culture of the bank.
Yes, and we know there are parallel investigations going on in countries like Switzerland, Singapore and the US, as you mentioned. Do you believe that those probes are going to find anything more conclusive?
Against Goldman Sachs, I think you have to remember there are at least 16 banks I totted up, I think, most recently that have been caught up in this. And one of the interesting things about this scandal is that, unusually, you are actually seeing white-collar bankers going to jail over 1MDB. There were two BSI executives before the bank was closed down as a result of the scandal who were imprisoned in Singapore. The head of Fulcrum Bank, the Swiss head of Fulcrum Bank in Singapore, has also been jailed. And the CEO of Fulcrum Bank, it's a Swiss private bank owned by Abu Dhabi, it's now been announced it is being investigated criminally by the Swiss authorities. But I think the Goldman Sachs case resides in Malaysia and United States as far as the main investigations into this is concerned.
Okay, we'll keep a watch out for the progress on this case. Clare Rewcastle Brown in Kuala Lumpur, thank you again for your time.